The Seattle Seahawks got some pressure against the Green Bay Packers. The question is, did it actually affect the game? What's going on, everybody? Good morning. It's Friday. Made it to the end of the week. We are just a couple of days shy of an opportunity for the Seahawks to wipe out the ugly loss to the Packers on primetime last week. But that doesn't mean we're done picking through it. So we've got pass rush numbers and a couple different sides to this. Number one, you have the raw pressure numbers, which I'm just going to go ahead and tell you right now. They're not that bad. They're, in some ways, kind of, sort of decent, even. And then we have to ask the next question. How much of that pressure actually disrupted Green Bay's offense, and how much of it was permitted, if not designed by Green Bay, to open up their screens? Because Green Bay hit a lot of screens in that game, and I felt like some of our pressures, some of our clear quarterback hits on Jordan Love were preludes to screen passes that were successful. So how happy are we about a pressure if the pressure doesn't actually negatively affect the offense? And I'm going to go through the numbers here, and I'm going to objectively present the data, but then I'm going to ask how much of this stuff actually affected the Packers game. And during the course of a 17-game season, you expect that some of your pressures are going to be empty. Some of your pressures are going to be by the offense's design. So I'm not here to say this should all be discounted. It should be baked into the original expectation. But in a game like that, it's hard for me to believe the defense was really doing their job getting quarterback pressure. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Please like this video if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new. Click the bell for notifications. Become a channel member for $2 a month. Those are the best ways to help support. So, starting with the defensive line here, it's not terrible, right? You're looking at this and you're like, okay, that's 3 pressures. You got 1 from Big Cat, which, by the way, I don't even think PFF gave him 1, so that's notable. And while some of it came in the second half when the game was already out of hand, it is worth noting that Leonard Williams made many good plays in this game. They just came too late. Jarran Reed had 1, and Roy Robertson Harris finally got on the board with 1, according to PFR. So, hey, I mean, 3 is not really out of line with what we've been seeing for a while now from this defensive line. I mean, look at this. 3 this week, 3 the previous week, then 2, 5, 1, 4, 0, 3, 2... 5 is like an outlier, and then you got 2 and 4. Like, 3 is really not that bad. Again, I gotta ask, how much of this came in the second half when the game was already out of hand? How much of this came on plays where Green Bay doesn't even really care if you get pressure because it's a screen pass? I mean, that's hard to answer, but I'm positive some of them were. Now, it is worth noting, I do want to highlight this. Leonard Williams has already blown past his season projection for me. I did not think he was going to be this good this year. He has been money. And a lot of it is because of how good he was in the first 2 games, but it goes beyond that. He's had a really good season, and I do want to give him some serious props. Jarran Reed is almost to his season projection, so he's almost certainly going to get there, so he's done his job and then some this year. I never thought I'd say this, but I'm hoping we can bring him back next year on a reasonable deal, because I don't think we're going to be able to replace his valuable reps. And, yeah, those 2 guys pulling their weight, definitely. The issues that we have on this defensive line, and the reason why we're not to where I thought we'd be, would be pretty much everyone else. Like Byron Murphy, I'm not saying he's playing bad, but he's not getting pressure. Mike Morris, I mean, beyond disappointed in Mike Morris. And Roy Robertson Harris, not that it's a big deal, but he's had, no real impact on the pass rush this year. Finally got on the board this week, but it's too little too late for him. All right, moving along here, we're going to go to the linebackers. Again, we're not looking at these first 2 guys. They're not on the team anymore. Ernest Jones remains skunked. Still no pressures from him. Not too upset about that, though, because Tyrese Knight picked up another one, so that's good. He's showing some ability on the blitz, some ability to disrupt the play, some ability to cause a little bit of havoc back there. It wasn't a very good game for Tyrese Knight. It wasn't a good game for almost anybody on the defense, but it is worth noting that he is getting to the quarterback in a way that we weren't even necessarily seeing from like Jerome Baker, and in a way maybe not even as much as we were seeing from Dodson, and we're still not seeing from Ernest Jones. So he's doing something right there, and overall, I think that the pressure we're seeing from the inside linebackers is reasonable. I mean, we have to keep in mind here that this team is not getting into situations where they can blitz their inside linebackers comfortably very often. It had gotten a little bit better, but this last game was really, really bad in that regard, so you can only do so much there. Okay, edge rusher, edge rusher, edge rusher. Good news, Uchenna Nwosu starting to pick up a little bit of steam here. He did pick up a quarterback pressure in this game. And overall, the edge room was good. I mean, it wasn't as good as it was early in the season when they were absolutely cooking it, but Boye Mafe, 2 pressures. Derek Hall, 2 pressures. Now, Derek Hall, there are other things going on with his game that I'm not super happy with. Like, I think his run defense is still a liability. Maybe that's something he can even out next year. He's still a young player. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself with Derek Hall, but he might just be he might be like a happy path version of Darrell Taylor, where we kind of knew Darrell Taylor was never going to be good against the run, but we were hoping he could do it enough of other stuff to make up for it, and he never really could. Derek Hall, maybe he can be the happy path version of that, where he's good enough to where he can still help you, but you're not thrilled about his run defense. And Boye Mafe again with 2, which, I mean, he hasn't had double-digit pressures in a game since week 3. So that's notable. Remember, he didn't play that much. He played 22 snaps. So even squeezing out these 2 pressures in a game, that's meaningful. And that's 5 pressures from your edge group. That's not bad. I mean, that's in line with what we've seen the previous couple weeks. It's better than what we saw in some of the games before that. I mean, you can look at these numbers. 5 isn't great, but given how that game went, I would not have expected a number this high. Because you guys know, PFR is hard to make happy with this stuff. PFR is hard to keep happy. So I thought they were going to punish, but not really. It's okay. I mean, this stuff kind of goes without saying, but it is worth noting that the edge players that we have kind of... They're playing above or at expectations for the most part, except for Nwosu, who barely played this year, so it's hard to really put anything on him, right? So I do think that while we're a little bit frustrated these guys didn't take flight, like we thought maybe Boye Mafe would blow up into like a Pro Bowl caliber player this year, I can understand that, but overall I still think we're going in a good direction with these players. I do wonder about the complete package with some of them. Like, we know what's going on with Draymond Jones. He doesn't defend the run well at all most of the time. And Derek Hall's starting to head down that path as well. But pressure-wise, not bad. And that's it. Nothing from the cornerbacks. Woolen should have had a quarterback hit, but he hit him late, so he doesn't get credit for it. It's a penalty. And nothing from the safety, so 9. Which isn't bad. 9 pressures in a game is not that bad. But how many of those pressures came on plays where the Packers permitted it? That's a question. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks. More videos coming later.